Steven, over under 5.5 shots of Taylor Swift on Sunday Night Football.
I'll go under.
You think
Actually,
under?
over. Sorry, I'll take the over. I'm sorry. No, I don't know why I went under. I'll take the over.
5.5?
Mm-hmm. 5.5
Okay.
is a good. I think it's a good line. I think it's going to go over though.
Now, does she get more shots than Aaron Rodgers, who supposedly is going to make the trip to be on the sidelines?
No, I think Rodgers will get more, but I don't think we'll be able to see it unless you have Sunday Ticket because they're just going to cut away from the game since the Chiefs are just going to beat up on the Jets so bad. It's going to be like last week.
Wait, say your joke again?
They're going to cut away from the game, same way they did
on Sunday Night Football?
Yeah. It's Sunday Night Football, huh?
Yeah, Tarico and Collins would just be like, so.
I didn't know it was Sunday Night Football. That's the Sunday Night Football game?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. That's why this Aaron Rodgers injury just fucking blows.
God, there's going to be way more of those shots hitting the over for sure. I wish Al Michaels was still on the call for Sunday Night Football so he could talk
Screw
about
it up somehow.
Yeah, he would say something. Didn't he say something to the effect of "you young whippersnappers" during the Lions game on Thursday night?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure
he said he said cockamamie. He described something as cockamamie, and I forgot what it was, but it was something like.
Did he refer to anybody as a nincompoop? Because that's one of my favorite old man sayings.
No, he didn't refer to anybody as a cockamamie was the word.
Cockamamie, or come on, pay attention, macaroni ears.
Also, just real quick on the Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah.
So Jesse and I in a group chat that involves a bunch of Taylor Swift fans and
Swifties, if you will,
and people who go on TikTok. So naturally, there's a lot of TikToks made about the relationship, and the Swifties are doing a lot of digging. And apparently, they are handing out NFL Sunday Ticket friendship bracelets at the game. And the friendship bracelets are like the Taylor Swift thing at this Eras tour. Friendship bracelets, like everyone shares them and stuff. They create them and they hand them out at Taylor Swift concerts. So it's looking more and more like the NFL probably paid Taylor Swift a whole bunch of money to come to the games. That way we could promote your movie, which is, with your concert coming out in the movie theater. You know about that, right?
No.
Yeah, her Eras tour concert is going to be played in movie theaters.
I never understood concert movies.
Yeah, it's stupid, but
like,
Swifties are Swifties. They want to do it.
Can you stand up in the theater and dance and sing along?
Yeah, of course.
That's weird.
Did people? I love my friends. They're probably going to go, but that sounds like my worst nightmare. It sounds like a living hell to be trapped in a movie theater with a bunch of Swifties.
Well, my question is, did people like when The Wall came out? Well, The Wall was a movie, though. It was like music mixed with a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So like when YouTube's Battle and Rum came out in like the late 80s, yeah, it was a movie. It was a movie, but it was a concert movie. Did people like sing and dance in the theater? Like it's a weird concept to me. Concert movies.
I agree, but the Sunday Ticket thing. They're going out with the friendship bracelets on Sunday Ticket. Are they trying to get more subscribers to NFL Sunday Ticket through YouTube?
They don't need it. Steven, this is where I draw the line on this conspiracy theory. And just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. It's clear to me that these two kids are dating. And the world just needs to get over it. There's no conspiracy theory.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to look like that all the way until they break up. And you know what? She's not going to write a breakup album because she already made that bank off the relationship.
No, she'll tell the Swifties that football is stupid, and then the Swifties will try to get the NFL canceled or whatever.
It's like what was the movie where the guy is going, or the hot girl's going after like the nerdy guy and taking him to prom and trying to
She's All That.
She's All That. It's kind of like that, I think, with Taylor Swift. Hey, go to the one guy who loves the spotlight, loves the attention, okay? Pretend you like him for just a few months and then just walk away. Kelsey's not even informed on this. It's all a Taylor Swift thing.
Is it hard to believe that she actually likes Travis Kelce?
Nah, it's not hard. He's a likable guy.
There you go. See,
All right now.
no conspiracy theories. Unlike Tupac's killer being arrested.
Yeah, I never knew he wrote a memoir. Like, that gave it away.
Well, he's also done a million interviews saying like, "Yeah, I might have done it."
Feels like it's a little late, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say 27 years after the fact, you're like, kind of missed the boat there.
We probably should
Las
have been
Vegas police.
investigating the one guy who wrote a book about it and has been admitting to it. Yeah, we
Well,
should probably question him.
Well, I remember an A&E show calling something along the lines of trying to catch Tupac's killer.
Yeah.
And they interviewed the guy at the end, and he basically was just like, "I'm not saying anything. I'm just, I might have been there. I may not have been. Just like, it's obvious. It's this guy."
So they came to the conclusion that he was in the Cadillac.
Yes. I don't know if he was specifically arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur, but they're linking to the fact that he was arrested yesterday. But I don't know if it was officially for the murder of Tupac in 1996, but they're saying that he basically AP Associated Press went with the headline that Tupac Shakur's killer was caught. Now, was it in relation to the actual crime being committed back then? I don't know, but that's what we're going with. They finally caught him.
All right. A man who say ordered the killing was arrested and charged with the murder Friday, in a long way to break through one of hip hop's most enduring mysteries. So he ordered the killing. May not have done it, but ordered it. That's what they're saying.
So it wasn't Suge Knight.
No, it wasn't Suge Knight. No.
I to your point though, Stephen, with if the game gets out of hand on Sunday Night Football, I wonder if look, it's so boring where Collinsworth's like, you hear about this the guy that killed Tupac? You know, I don't know if I believe it, Mike. Sometimes Collinsworth gets bored.
Yeah, Dear Mom. Dear Mama is one of those songs that makes you think back. It makes me want to call my mom.
All right, we will get to a lot of football today. But before we do that, Steven, you went to the game last night, and it was the talk of Bay Area radio, especially for me, for 4+ hours. Happened right when the show started. And I'll get to the interview and everything that happened the day before, but your reaction to the San Francisco Giants dismissing Gabe Kapler as manager with 3 games to go.
Reaction, instant, surprised is, I think, one way. I mean, just to put it simply, I didn't think it would happen now. I thought it would maybe happen this offseason if there was any time. So I guess I was surprised by the timing of it. But after that Andrew Baggerly article was written, and ever since Logan Webb made those comments, about players need to buy in or whatever, and I'm willing to hear all the criticism of Farhan, and I'm willing, I understand the roster, but can we also stop saying that can we stop using Jock Peterson and AJ Pollock? Like, we'll give you Jock Peterson and AJ Pollock. No, he gave him a lot of other players to work with. It's not just Jock Peterson and AJ Pollock. They may have been the worst of the Farhan finds, but after that article from Bags came out, where he basically said Mike Yastrzemski, Wilmer Flores, they don't like this culture that they're building here. Tyro Estrada is included in that. And there's Jock Peterson playing some Filipino card game. And there's the music with Bob Marley afterwards. An anonymous source said that, although that might just be one player who's not okay with the music, and you're just using the anonymous source to bolster the article. But to me, it's pretty clear that Kapler didn't lose control of the locker room. Nobody lost control. He had control of it, but I just don't think he understands what it's like to cultivate a winning locker room. He just seemed to be friends with all these guys. Never had anything bad to say about them. Never went to the media and said anything that could maybe wreck their coach to player relationship. Like, he never was critical when players deserved to be criticized. Like, we had to hear about this Jock Peterson thing in an article. Like, Kapler's never called out Peterson for anything. He's never said anything about Peterson. So I don't know. I was kind of surprised at the timing of it, but ultimately, am I surprised that he's gone? No, because after that, after I read stuff about the culture that's created in the locker room, sorry, but that's up to the manager to bring them all in and direct it. And Kapler just clearly didn't really create a culture where they cared too much about winning nor losing. So ultimately, I wasn't surprised.
I am surprised though when you get fired with 3 games left because
Yeah, yeah,
it's more of a football thing to do this than baseball.
yeah. The
You get
timing of it, super
yeah,
weird.
you usually get fired when you're a baseball manager during the season or middle of the pack. Like who is the manager of the Phillies currently?
Oh God. Oh, you're testing me here.
Sorry.
Hang on. Let
Well,
me look.
he filled in the middle of the
Rob
season.
Thompson.
Rob Thompson when um shit, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Who's my guy with
Who's my guy?
the Phillies after Kapler got fired? Joe Girardi.
Yeah.
Joe Girardi got fired during the season last year, and then Rob Thompson took over, and he got him to the NLCS. So shit like that happens all the time, where managers get fired during the season, but it's rare with like 3 games to go. It's more like an NFL thing, honestly. I'm not gonna act like I know a ton about the way that the Giants operate, or even I know I work at KNBR, but I'm not gonna act like I know everything about the Giants. But I am familiar with this topic a little bit, just because we have Farhan on weekly, and he came on the day before, and a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that Gabe was going to get fired after Farhan spoke with Adam Copeland and Tom Tolbert. And when that interview took place, I thought it was pretty telling that he didn't give a straight answer. But I will say that I didn't jump to the conclusion that Kapler was going to get fired,
No,
just
because I
because.
texted you. I was like, ooh, is this what's happening here? Kapler getting the axe or what? And then you're like, he didn't say anything definitive. But
Yes, that the only reason I say that is because Farhan doesn't have final say in that.
right.
And but I once the next day, once the day of Kapler's firing happened yesterday, and Susan Slusser, I think hours before she came out with the story itself, well, she came out with the story, but she tweeted out that Kapler was getting the axe. She said that she talked to Giants owner Greg Johnson, and he backed up Farhan with everything he said. When that happened, I was like, "Ooh, okay." Then something's going to happen because I do not believe Farhan has final say in firing Gabe Kapler. So the way that I read into it, um, they were pissed. They were pissed with the way that the clubhouse was kind of conducting themselves, especially during the Arizona series. I'll even say I noticed this earlier in the week when they got officially eliminated by the Padres, like 4-0, and Gabe Kapler goes to the mound to take the ball away from John Brebbia, and the two of them are having a weird, fun moment of playing grab ass on the mound, laughing and having fun when they're getting eliminated. I'm sure that rubbed everybody the wrong way.
Yeah.
Not to the point where Gabe Kapler would get fired, but to the point where I'm sure the ownership group and Farham themselves and the players are like, "The fuck's going on here?"
This is not a serious team.
Exactly. So if I had to guess, yes, Bag's interview was telling, and I think our Bag's story was telling, and I think Farhan's answer to Cope's question of the future of Gabe Kapler was telling, and then I think Gabe probably went to Farhan the next day and said, well, let's cut the bullshit here. What's my future like? And I'm sure Farhan, to put it to him bluntly, it was like, you have the option. You want to stick around the next 3 days, or do you want to go? And he's like, no, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like Gabe just walked away from the team, but I find the whole thing interesting that Kai Correa would get the opportunity to manage the team with 3 games left.
Yeah.
Also, I'll reveal this. WIP in Philadelphia
Uh-huh.
reached out to KMBR the day of the interview
Of course.
and saying that Kapler was going to get fired. And at first, I was like, I don't know if I believe that because we get calls all the time during the Aaron Jones thing. People were calling us saying, "Oh, they're Aaron Judge is going to sign with the Padres," and we were like, I don't believe that. Now, in the end, Aaron Judge did meet with the Padres, but didn't sign with them. So when we got that news, I was like, I don't believe that yet. Sure enough, Farhan gave the answer, and Gabe got the axe. So I'm not surprised, but I will say this: I think Gabe was kind of the scapegoat here because while I don't think he ran a tight ship, and I don't think he garnered the respect of the players, this philosophy is really on Farhan. And I'm not saying that he should be fired. I think
No.
Farhan, in a sense, made this move because ownership was getting pissed. And they were basically like, it's either you or him. So he chose Gabe, which, makes sense. And now a lot of people are going to expect that Bob Melvin is going to either want to get out of San Diego or get fired. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's a very hard situation for him to leave. Would he have more control or more say with the Giants? I don't know. I don't know if it's a better situation from the Padres to the Giants, but I think that they had to have a scapegoat. I think Gabe was the guy. I think a lot of people unfairly don't like him for the way he is. I can't tell you how many people yesterday called in saying I can't stand his politics and he's too woke for me. And that's
Mhm.
not really important. The important thing is basically Giants fans will admit to this. He's not Bochy. That's just the bottom line. He's not
Yeah.
Bruce Bochy, and he never will be. And I think Giants fans need to get over that. And whoever they get next, you best believe is going to be kind of under the same, ideology of a guy that's going to follow the analytics that Farhan wants to do.
To me, there's one more year left for Farhan. One more year. If things don't change next season, if you don't get, I mean, I don't know what their conversations are like, but to me, 1 year of Farhan, and if you don't make it work with whoever you hire as manager, it's going to be a collaborative effort. But if you don't make it work, and now your rookies are starting to get called up. The guys that you chose in the draft, like Kyle Harrison and Casey Schmidt and not Marco Luciano. Marco Luciano, I think, was before his time, or was Luciano his time? Luciano was 2018, right? So that was right before Farhan
That
came
was
along.
Bobby Evans.
That was Bobby Evans. So if you can't make it work, then all right, Farhan, we're going to have to move in a different direction because this isn't okay. Or maybe the Giants are just cool with making money if whatever they're doing right now is making money. But
It's not making money though.
okay, well then there you go.
I mean,
So
you went to the game last night, Steven. How many people were there?
lot, but
A
not
lot.
Giants
Okay.
fans. Not Giants fans though. A lot
See
of Dodger fans.
that's the issue.
Yeah, a lot of Dodger fans last night. Had a crab sandwich. I have one once a season, really, and I do forget that it's not overrated. I know it's how expensive,
But overpriced.
It's overpriced, sure, but I didn't pay for it, so it's really good. Thanks.
What
Jeff.
was the vibe last night?
Well, we had a few drinks, so I don't know really what the vibe was around our row.
No, but like when you went to the ballpark, were people kind of happy that Gabe was fired, or was it
No,
weird?
people were surprised, but they got it. That's
Yeah.
you know what? Even before the game, talking to some random guys on BART, it was actually pretty funny. I haven't had that in a while, where like everyone on BART is there to, where everyone on BART is there to like actually go to the game instead of you being like one of like the two Giants fans in the car. It's like everyone was going to the game, and one dude had no idea that Kapler got fired, so he like looked this
Oh
up.
wow.
Yeah, he was in front of me and he looked it up and he's like, dude, did this just happen? And I was like, this happened a few hours ago. And he's like, no, what? That's crazy. And then like, people started talking about it, and it seemed everyone had the same reaction. Surprised it happened now, but they kind of understand it, and they're also wondering what's going on with the front office. It's literally the same across the board. But I agree, he is the scapegoat. Like the Farhan can't get away from this weird situation of how they handled Kyle Harrison this year. I'm looking at that one as number one. That was bizarre. They're like trying to get him up to 60 pitches through Sacramento. They're letting him pitch like 3 or 4 innings. Then instantly they have him pitching like 90 to 95 pitches a game. And then they send him back down to AAA. That was just weird. The trade for AJ Pollock, I think that was just a chance they were trying to take because Farhan had familiarity with Pollock because of his time with the Dodgers. And they just said, hey, this guy's available. We're not really doing anything right now. It wasn't a good move. Everyone's going to use that one against Farhan. I think that was a really, really low risk move. You didn't trade anything away to get him. That didn't matter. In his offseason moves, like the way that they've handled their pitchers, we talked about it before on this show, Derek. Like this thing with Kevin Gausman to me is going to be one that stings. Like they weren't willing to give a big contract extension to Gausman because he was done with his year and he had one option left and he elected for free agency and they didn't pay him. Gausman's still tearing it up. The Rodon one, whatever. But it's moves like that. Paying Jock Peterson another year and $19 million and then him being the one who doesn't care about winning. That is kind of on Farhan, but it's also on Kapler to not, motivate him and be a leader in the clubhouse. So it's just a mix. It's just a confluence of crappy events for the Giants. And unfortunately, Kapler is the scapegoat. But I also personally, this is just me, it seemed like he wanted to be more of an influencer than he did a manager. I'll just say that. He was trying to get into the whole Instagram game, doing like restaurant reviews, reviewing burgers, reviewing coffee. It didn't seem like he cared. He cared, obviously, and Farhan didn't have anything bad to say about him, but I just personally, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to be an influencer right now on the road?
I'm sure if it was my team, I would feel the same way.
Yeah,
But a part of me also is just kind of like, can he do both? And I
I guess
know
he
that,
can. I guess he can, but it just bothers me when the team's losing and they're in
yeah.
disarray, and then I'm seeing like a review of the best latte in San Francisco.
I mean, that's fair. No, I totally understand that. I think that his days, I think right now, 2 strikes and you're out when it comes to being a manager in baseball. I
Yeah.
think that he'll go into being maybe a commentator, being working on TV or doing his TikToks. But yeah.
Also, speaking of your team, shout out to their giveaway last Friday. It's a pretty cool
Look
shirt.
look at you wearing a shit.
Yeah. Well, do you know who this is?
Is that Tejada?
No, you don't know who. See, this is the thing with you A's fans. You don't even know who your own players are. Come
Whoa,
on.
whoa, whoa! What? How, dude? How can I tell on that shirt right there?
Because the name is right there.
I can't see it.
Estee Ruiz, bro.
Oh, well, now I see it. We didn't have it up before.
It's actually a really sweet giveaway. I saw that shirt. I was
And
like, yeah,
and
I'll take that.
and to answer your question, no, I don't know who that is.
He's there. He's there. He's one of their rookies that they took in the trade for Sean Murphy. Very speedy guy. He's gonna lead the American League in stolen bases.
So you'd be much more cooler if you wore a Miguel Tejada shirt.
Hey, you know what I saw is last night though? The saddest stat ever, because Ruiz, I think, was the first A's player to reach 60 stolen bases since Ricky Henderson in 1998. Cool stat.
Ricky.
But obviously Tyro won the Willie Mack Award.
Yep.
So they put on the screen, they started like putting up some of the stats, and they said that he had 21 stolen bases this year, the most for a Giants infielder since 2004 or something. I'm like, that's sad. I'm like, Giants, don't share that. You don't want to show that off.
Yeah.
Like, that's
the 20 years gap there.
If it's home runs, okay, but an infielder stolen bases, infielders used to be synonymous with stolen bases back in the day. Like, what are we doing? Anyway.
Yep, we will see what happens with the Giants and their search for a new manager.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's Stephen Vogt. Bomel, the thing with Bomel is, and I was listening a little bit to your show, Tolbert and Copes, on the way to the BART station. And it's right as they were talking about Bomel. And it's pretty clear after those little the pieces that you and I talked about, those investigative journalistic pieces where it's like it's a tell-all. Yeah, it's pretty clear that AJ Preller, whoever he gets, he better have someone who goes by what he says, because there was just no communication, no consistency in the communication. And I think if Bob Melvin comes to the Giants, then he'd only come here if it's guaranteed that he has control of the team, because all I hear from Giants fans is that Kapler was just Farhan's puppet. This is all Farhan's fault. I don't know if that's, I don't know how true that is, because he makes so many damn pitching changes. It's like, is Farhan really going down to the phones and telling you need to make this pitching change and that pitching change every single moment of every single inning? Like, I don't know. So,
well, I do believe that GMs have a more hand in the game of how things are constructed as on a day-to-day routine. But as far as in-game adjustments, that's debatable. I think Bob Melvin had to deal with a little bit of both with Billy and David Forst with the A's. I don't know,
but at
how
least Billy like played, like AJ Preller didn't play. He just came up.
I know, and
it
might be a little more hands-on with AJ Preller in San Diego. But Steven, just an unbiased opinion, what's a better situation right now, San Diego or San Francisco?
San Francisco.
Why?
Because San Diego's just chock full of stars who don't care either. Actually, they did just make it to the championship series.
So. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just said chock full of stars. And what do the Giants have?
Nothing.
So I think Bob Melvin's a reasonable man too, and also can talk to AJ Preller and talk to the to the stars of the team and be like, "Look, guys, we were just in the NLCS a year ago. Let's get our heads out of our asses."
Maybe, but all the damage control they've been doing is saying there's nothing going on in the locker room when everything has been about AJ Preller and his relationship to the team and him controlling everything. And it doesn't sound like he's gonna. If he's too stubborn, he needs to be more hands off. If he wants to keep Melvin around.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We shall see.
yeah. They're good.
Let's
I mean, they're paying so much to Machado and Bogarts and Tatis. They can't perform the way they did this year. They were so disappointing.
No, I know, and I think it'd be a disservice to them if they let Bob Melvin go. And also, I think Bob Melvin, we'll see what happens. He just got there, so I don't think he wants to just quit on that team just yet. But maybe, who knows? Let's transition to some football. Thursday night game. Lions laid a beat down on the Packers, and it was the first time that I really got to see Jordan Love from start to finish. And while he's gotten bailed out the first 3 weeks, I was impressed with the way that he's been able to be clutch in the game against the Saints, and through I believe 6 touchdowns for the first 2 weeks. But he definitely struggled against the Lions, and the Lions are an impressive team. They overcame the Jared Goff interception on the first possession, and they're going to get better. Jameson Williams is going to come back, I believe, next week. They reduced his suspension from gambling, and there's a whole new thing with gambling now in the NFL that they changed with the more stricter penalties. But now the Lions were impressive. It was a 27-3 lead that started off the game.
Yep.
And I think that they're legit. Now, are they in the same class in the NFC as a San Francisco or a Dallas or a Philly? Not yet, but I think it's clear that they're the most dominant team in the NFC North right now, and that's not saying much.
The Lions big boyed them again in the trenches. It all came down to the trenches, the offensive line and the defensive line. Like, that Lions defensive line is fierce. And we don't talk about it much, but I haven't heard much from Trayvon Walker in the past year or so. But that's going to go down as one of the bigger misses, I think. Like, Aiden Hutchinson's a dog, and that dude was drafted second. He deserved to be the first overall pick.
But did you hear Herbstreit and Michaels talk about how he didn't really want to go to Jacksonville?
That's interesting.
I don't know if he manipulated that in any way, but yeah, Trayvon Walker hasn't been mentioned a lot. That's a good point, Steven.
It's just like, well, we randomly looked it up. Like, when was Hutchinson drafted again? Second overall? Who was first overall in that draft? Trayvon Walker. What? You kind of forget that. You always think it's a quarterback if an edge rusher of that caliber is taken second. But no, man, this Lions defense just hums. I don't know what Brian Branch's I think he had like a concussion. Didn't he leave that game with a concussion?
Yeah, but then it didn't seem like I don't know if it was a concussion, but he definitely hurt his shoulder, maybe making a tackle.
I think he's back, but that Brian Branch is a dog. They just got dogs, man, even though they're Lions. And
good point.
They just got to Jordan Love. And again, this was the second straight game where you got the Packers and the Falcons, right? Two offenses that, they look like they got something there. They look like they got something to build off of.
More so Falcons, I'd say.
Yeah, probably, because they got more skill position guys, like the Packers again without Aaron Jones. I think they had Aaron Jones rather.
They had Aaron Jones, but he didn't do much.
He looked terrible.
Yeah.
But
I should know in 2 fantasy leagues.
Yeah, me too. I got him in 1. But they're just the big boys right now, man. This is not some little plucky underdog team that's like the surprise of the league. No, the Detroit Lions, they're a good football team, man. They're fierce. They fly to the football defensively. Dan Campbell has them playing really hard, and Jared Goff, I think we've kind of underrated him. I think he's a really good quarterback. Although, man, that one route that Amon-Ra St. Brown put on Rasul Douglas in the slot, oh my God.
Not on the touchdown.
Yeah, on the touchdown.
Oh, on the touchdown? Well, he was wide open, yeah.
Well, yeah, because of the route that he put on Rasul Douglas. He put him in a blender, had him on his ass.
Yeah.
It's a surprising team. It's a surprisingly just strong team, and I don't think we can take them lightly anymore. I think they've proven they're here right now to try and make it to the postseason, and I think they can be competitive in the NFC and potentially in the playoffs too.
But you agree with me? You wouldn't put them in the same class as San Francisco or Philly or Dallas.
I'd put them. I don't know if I put Dallas in those classes right now.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm telling you that the 2 games against New York, I'm not convinced. I think maybe they just didn't have a week of prep for the Cardinals and they overlooked them and they were looking to the week ahead. But I don't know if I put them there. I put the Lions right up there with those teams. I do actually. I think
Interesting. So
I
so
think
so
they're
if you had
that
to rank it
good.
right now, San Fran.
Yeah, it would be Niners.
Sorry, Frisco. Sorry,
It'd
everybody.
be Niners number 1. Probably Eagles number 2. I'm just putting them there because also they're going to beat you in the trenches too. Like there's a reason why they're still winning games, even though their offense hasn't played nearly as well as they can. And yeah, I'd probably put the Lions at 3 right now. I don't think the Cowboys are that good. Like not as good as people have been touting them to be.
All right. Well, whatever defensive struggles they had in the Week 2 game against
Well,
the
what do you think? Where are you doing it? What do you still put them out there?
well, like I said, they've cleared up any defensive problems they had in Week 2 against the Seahawks, where they lost that game in overtime. They could have won that game easily too, but the defense just struggled. C.J. Gardner Johnson out for the season. It looks like they got pieces. I like that guy next to Aiden Hutchinson, Comiskey. That's crazy. He
Yeah.
had a defensive tackle named Kaminsky. It fits the personality of them so well. And isn't the name of the Tiger Stadium Kaminsky Park?
It is, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
Better than Frank.
I think that when they get Jameson Williams back, they're going to have a very lethal offense, way more than they have right now. I think they're running really well with David Montgomery. I've been surprised how much they've used him in comparison to Jahmyr Gibbs. But that'll be a good 1-2 punch when they figure out how to use them evenly.
Old school
I
team, man. Old school team.
yeah,
Very old, just old school.
I think they're very balanced. I think they're a very different team than what we
Yes,
saw
that's
back.
a great word to describe them right there.
I think they're different than what we saw with Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, where it really was more offense, even though they had Dominic and Sue. This is probably like those Lions teams every year had to go up against Aaron Rodgers. I really don't see any threat in the NFC North. Like I was going into the game and we tied. You picked the Lions to win. I picked the Packers, but I took the over, so that hit.
Yeah.
But I was expecting the Packers to win the game just because I thought they'd be home and Lambeau and everything. But it was very impressive and not anything new for the Lions. I think they've beaten the Packers 5 straight times now. But as far as the NFC, I don't think they're there yet. I still think the Cowboys are better just because they've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. I don't know if the Cowboys are better than they were a year ago. I like to think that they are, but with the Trayvon Diggs injury, that may change things. But I don't think it's really any contest in the NFC North right now. I think you have 2 teams that are 0-3 with the Bears and Vikings. I think the Packers are still going to figure things out with Jordan Love, and I think the Lions are the most for real team in that division. But as far as the other NFC teams, I'm still putting the Niners, Eagles, and Cowboys ahead of them.
Yeah, with the weird way that the NFC's shaping out, like I'm willing to hear that they're not on that same tier, but I think where they'd have to be if they're not, they're in like a tier of if you're doing tiers, if we're doing NFC tier talk, baby, tier 1.
Tears for Fears.
I'm going to shout and let it all out. 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles at the top tier. Second tier, Lions on their own. And then the third tier, wherever, because I think that's how weak the NFC is. There's no one that even deserves to be right up there. Like, who else are you going to choose? I don't know. Like the Saints or the Seahawks. Maybe the Saints or the Seahawks are in that tier too. I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't know yet.
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty good. Well, I wouldn't say pretty good game, but interesting to watch the Lions beat down the Packers once again, and we'll see.
One more thing
from
that game. Did you see the Barry Sanders and Marshawn Lynch stuff?
I saw it, but I didn't. I had the sound off.
Oh my God, man! You should watch at least the first one where they're breaking down Barry Sanders' film. Marshawn almost cried, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I just never thought that beast mode, this dude would turn into like this media darling.
Oh yeah.
I highly recommend any football fan watches that because Marshawn sits next to him and he's just like, dude, I'm like he had a hard time expressing his feelings, like,
So
but he said
he looked up to Barry.
he did, and he's like, "You're the reason that I picked up a football, man." Like, and he was kind of like starstruck as he was sitting next to him, just to be
Oh
sitting
yeah.
here with you, and we're talking like this, and I don't know, it was kind of wild. I've never seen Marshawn like that before. And I highly recommend anyone watches that. They did 2 segments. The first one is more the emotional one. The second one, they're watching Marshawn's film, and it's more funny because they're watching Marshawn beast mode, whatever. Barry Sanders is like, Barry Sanders is known as the guy that didn't celebrate. That's what he was always
Yeah.
known as.
Just
It's
give
the
the
guy
ball
that
back to the ref.
give the ball back to the ref. But he also said, like, man, I kind of wish if I did have a celebration, it would have been that one that you did, man.
You grabbing the nuts?
Grabbing the nuts in the end zone on the way to the end zone. Yeah.
I haven't seen that, so I'll go back and watch. But
Good post game show.
oh, great post game show, always. Except for Tony Gonzalez, not a fan. We don't need to know that you're cold, Tony G. Everybody's cold. Although
California guy, man, come on, you can't take the California.
yeah, but it's also
kid.
the middle of September in Green Bay. It's not that cold. Like, relax.
It's a very Los Angeles person thing to do, though. He's from LA, right?
From LA, from Torrance.
Okay, right. And then went to Berkeley.
And then went to Berkeley. I will say the best thing in television I've seen in the last 3 weeks is Marshawn Lynch going to Amish country and talking to the Amish people of Pennsylvania. And when the woman says, "So you're comfortable milking that cow?" Hell no, I'm not. Hell no, Mama, I ain't touching that cow.
It's very creative, man. I'll admit, I know you're kind of joking just to annoy me, because I'm not gonna lie, you did get me with the, you know what is good, Steven? This post game show. I don't know, I forgot what you said, but
well, you texted me earlier saying, "Did Farhan say that they're going to fire Gabe Kapler?" I said he wasn't very clear about that. I'll tell you what is clear: this post game show is fucking good.
yeah, yeah. That made me chuckle, but it is. I gotta admit, they're getting really creative in the stuff they do. It's not just, hey, win Terry Bradshaw's money as he stumbles through these highlight clips.
Yeah, that's
it's nothing like that. I think they're getting really creative. And I saw on the end, at the end of the broadcast, I looked up the video. They're trying different cheeses, and Fitzpatrick is like blindfolded and trying different cheese. I don't know, things like that. They may be stupid, but at least they're thinking outside of the box and trying something different, as opposed to just awkwardly breaking down the game the entire time that no one really truly watched.
Well, I will say that they do a good job of hitting on everything in the post game. Just my whole thing is it's very impressive that Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andrew Whitworth, and Richard Sherman are all 2 years removed from playing, and they're all very good on TV. Plus, maybe the only weakness of the Amazon broadcast is Al Michaels. The rest of it actually is done very well. Like last week when they had Captain Andrew Luck come down, I thought it was very fun. But yeah, the whole irony of the thing is Marshawn Lynch was exposed to a whole new audience because of Kenny Mayne and the fun that they had with the Buffalo Bills Applebee's thing, where they went to a Dave and Buster's, where
Applebee's.
Was it Applebee's?
Yeah.
It wasn't Applebee's, because Willie McGinnis said all they could do in Buffalo was go to an Applebee's, and they did sketches. Now Marshawn Lynch is basically doing kind of the same thing, where he's going to Amish country and just having fun with them.
He's so charismatic. He's charismatic in the best way. He's truly himself. Very unique. The Amish thing. Y'all be cutting corners.
Yo, that's an hilarious line. It's like, LED lights, man. You Amish be cutting corners.
Oh, it's so good. They're setting him up perfectly for it all. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. No.
Although Fitzpatrick, I don't. Fitzpatrick's good, but he just sounds bored when he's talking.
No, I think he's solid, but it was a great moment. Jared Goff called him out. Because I guess he called him out a couple weeks ago, saying he's a poor man's Matt Ryan, and he was like, I didn't realize I'm a poor man's anything. And then he's like, oh, my bad, dude.
Yeah.
But then Tony Gonzalez stupidly goes, yeah, we were talking about on the pregame show. Did you watch the pregame show? And Goff's like, no, I was preparing for the game.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how you move on from a pre and post game show like Fox, where you're looking like the star of it, because he did. Tony Gonzalez.
G?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Gronk's looking a lot better on Fox than Tony G these days.
Is he?
just more fun. But Tony Gonzalez says dumb things.
I didn't realize how smart Gronk was. I totally
You
underestimated
got to be
Gronk.
smart to play football, man.
Yeah, I totally underestimated him.
Now let's transition to a kind of not kind of. This is becoming an incredibly sad and disturbing and concerning story with Chandler Jones.
Yep.
Forget all the social media stuff. That I don't know what's going on there, where he's saying Josh McDaniels is responsible for the death of Aaron Hernandez, and then he videotapes himself talking about it, then bursting into tears. Then guys like Robert Griffin are saying, I'm praying for you, man, and I'm wishing for the best. And he's like, I don't need your prayers. You're phony. And the whole thing is disturbing to me. And it gets more concerning when he's arrested, I believe, yesterday morning for a violation of protective order. And people are, coming to help him. And I guess he's saying that the NFL, against his will, is making him go get hospitalized. This isn't a fun story. I really don't like even talking about it. I don't like reading up on it because it just bothers the crap out of me. It's turning into something along the lines of Alden Smith. Um, at this point, just to get it back to football, Chandler Jones's career in the NFL, I'm not even concerned about anymore. But as far as that, a year ago, I wasn't really impressed with him as a Raider. So it is what it is. They're not missing anything major with him. But just as far as him and the person, I understand that Mark Davis and the Raiders organization have a mentality about just not getting rid of players. They want to help them. This happened a long time ago. Uh, Al Davis cut Darrell Russell, the old defensive tackle for the Raiders in the 90s. He was really good, but he had drug issues, and Al Davis just cut him off the team and said, I don't want to deal with that shit. And then he died. And I think he told my dad and other people in close circles that he always regretted that because he wished he could have helped him more. And I think that's what the Raiders are trying to do here. I know a lot of people are wondering why the hell are they entertaining this every week with Chandler Jones. The truth is, they probably don't envision him ever coming back. But if they have the resources to help him, they're trying to help him do that. And the sad thing is that he's vocalizing that he doesn't want help. He doesn't think he needs help, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell is going on. Like I said, I don't like this story at all. It's concerning, and I wish someone would help him. But yeah, I don't know. It's disturbing, the whole damn thing.
And he's out here trying to start a CTE podcast with Antonio Brown, like
Oh God,
all that stuff. Antonio Brown's making
is
it
that
work.
is that true? He's been like reaching out to him, and
They have on Twitter. I don't know if it's real, if it's private, but they went to it on Twitter. Then they started joking that they're going to start a podcast called the CTE podcast, Catch the Energy, and like laughing and all the stuff. It's kind of creative, but
yeah, what to say? That's not bad, but
yeah,
it's terrible at the same time.
No, it's awful. I don't like the Raiders gave him a second chance. He was with the Patriots and he had a situation happen there, right?
Yeah, but that was one isolated incident, and that was enough for Bill Belichick to trade him to the Cardinals. And then I haven't
Exactly.
heard anything since. Now, I know you brought this up, and Alon's brought this up. Is there something with his brother that's similar or concerning in the same way?
Worse to me.
Yeah.
Well, not similar in that his brother goes off on social media and goes off on these tangents. His brother just continued to break UFC rules. He would do drugs and drink before fights, and he's actually known as the greatest fighter of all time because he is that good. He's so talented, so gifted. The last fight that he went out, he faced this. He took a 2-year hiatus because he got in trouble. Got arrested, and there's a litany of things. I could go down the list with him,
Right.
but he came back out in a heavyweight bout, and he faced this dude Cyril Gane, who's this French monster, supposed to be the next up and coming thing in the heavyweight class. And Jones finished him in like 40 seconds. Wasn't even a contest. Yeah, but there's similar stuff going on. It's different, but it's not comparing apples to oranges. Like it all comes from the same place of there's something going on with these guys, and Jones is a little different. But Chandler Jones, rather, what he's going through as opposed to his brother John, because his brother John just had a drinking and drug problem.
Right.
At least at one point he did. And he's very open to it, lied a lot. I think he failed like 6 drug tests or something. It was a lot with the UFC, but he was so good they kept on bringing him back. Yeah, it's all just a mess, man. And I don't like seeing it play out on social media. I don't like that it's getting so much coverage. I don't like that a bunch of podcasts are reaching out to him trying to get him on so that he could explain his situation so that they could get views on his podcast. I don't like any of that.
Yeah, I didn't like Taylor Lewan tweeting to him saying maybe this is an opportunity for you to come on bussing with the boys. It's not.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for someone to help him. Like this
Yeah.
this isn't a podcast moment.
No, you
Um,
don't need a podcast for this. This is not something you want to see. You don't want to see a meltdown live that's going to get millions of views. Like, come on.
yeah, I just hope that he something gets fixed with him because I don't know. It's eerily similar to Alden Smith. Not the same thing, obviously, but just obviously a cry for help. And every time we hear about an Alden Smith thing, like he came back a couple years ago with the Cowboys and Seahawks, and I don't know I don't know if he's cleaned up his life since. I hope he has, but the whole thing was bad, and I'm
And I
hoping
did,
that
and also I'll say this to respond to
yeah.
what you said earlier about the RG3 thing. Like, I know I've said what I've said about RG3 on social media.
Oh, he's annoying, but
I've said before on the podcast he'd be kind of corny. But
yes,
when I saw him trying to help him out, and then just like the whole washed up
yeah.
RG, like, what? Come on, man. This guy's trying to, although he's doing it publicly, which is weird. Like, can you find him? Can you maybe text him privately? But like, I don't know. At least
The
he's
whole
trying to reach out and help.
the whole thing is weird. The whole thing is weird. So
Mhm.
I don't like it, and I hope that something changes. But yeah, I feel like every week we've given an update on this, and it's just gotten worse. So
Yeah. I mean, how much worse can it get than saying that Aaron Hernandez didn't commit suicide in prison and you're blaming it on your head coach? Like, how much worse can it get than that?
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That's ugh.
I mean, that's one that how can, like, what's McDaniel's supposed to do? You know, like,
Not
it just
even address that.
it
That's
puts everyone in a terrible situation.
yeah, yeah. And I thought that Chandler Jones was kind of weird on social media even before all this stuff happened, but now when every day something new happens, it's some outrageous statement like that, it's just not fun. It's not funny. It's just sick.
Yeah. And no matter, and there's a segment of people though that kind of laugh with him. You know, there's this
Yeah.
segment that do, and that's also the thing is, like, you get confirmation. I do this. Everyone does this for social media, but you kind of get confirmation bias, right? Like, I think that's half of the reason why people tweet out just their random thoughts is so they can get some sort of validation from people
Oh yeah.
on that thought. And unfortunately, Jones is getting some, not all, but some validation on what he's saying. Like, when he says something to the point of what he said about his head coach and Aaron Hernandez, people saying, "Ooh, we should look into that." Oh, this is ooh, what do you know?
Well,
Like, how
it
about
doesn't
you?
help when Dove Kleiman sends it out too, being like, "This guy need like not." I hope he means it in the sense of this guy needs help, but not in the sense of, "Well, this will get me clicks." This guy Chandler Jones is going crazy.
Dove's annoying me lately a lot.
No one likes him. No one likes him in the NFL media business. He's also annoying the crap out of me. Just I'll get to Colorado after we make our picks, but the way that school is being, uh, I guess portrayed or not portrayed, but just being covered is becoming a problem. I think, and I'll get to that in a little bit here. But
Get to it now. Before our picks, get to it now. Our picks
all
take
right.
a while. Get to it now.
Well, we're currently in the middle of the game. USC is beating Colorado 48-21.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that Colorado is not on the same level as some of these other Pac-12 teams. Obviously, last week they got beat down by Oregon 42-6, and now they're most likely going to lose this game. Now, Deion Sanders has done an amazing job. He has taken a one-win Colorado team and turned them into the talk of college football. And I think it's fun. I have no issue with it. I think that it's very interesting and different and enlightening to have an African American coach like Deion Sanders have the following where college football doesn't really have that. They have Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney, but you don't really see a lot of black faces when it comes to head coaching in college football. And besides Deion, the only one that comes to my mind right now is Mel Tucker, and he's going through his own issues with Michigan State right now. So I think it's good for college football, the brand, to have Deion Sanders in it. But I will say this also. It also overexposes Colorado. And I think they have a lot of hype right now, which, first take, they're going to go and talk about that. ESPN, they're going to talk about it because Dion's there. But also sets them up for a lot of failure, too. I think that they, them going into TCU and beating them is very fun for college football and unexpected. But then it comes with expectations. And just because they started 3-0 and they barely beat a Colorado State team doesn't mean that they're going to be in the college football playoff, anything like that. So every day when they're scrutinized on ESPN, I think it's like, all right, that's not the story. The story is that this team and the whole mentality of the program has changed. Yes, wins or losses matter, but to say, like, to watch the bottom ticker on first take, it'd be like, what does Dion need to change with defense? That's not the point. Eventually they'll get recruits, and maybe someday Dion will leave the program. Maybe, hopefully he stays. But I think that like, okay, like last week, Dan Lanning, the head coach of Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
this has an effect on the teams they play as well. So they catch the video of him saying, we're playing for wins, they're playing for clicks. And everyone, not everyone, but a good majority of people took that as a personal shot towards Dion. And I got to be honest, it wasn't. It was just him trying to fire up his team. And was it hypocritical because Oregon plays for clicks all the time with their jerseys and whatnot? Absolutely. But you say shit before a game to get your team hyped up. And I think it turned into a whole thing last week of people cheering because they can't stand Dion. Like there was this one woman who tweeted out, Oregon is doing God's work for all of us. And it's like, what is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
But also there's a large people that are like, they're kind of tired of the Colorado talk. And they're not in the same class as an Alabama or I guess just the top teams right now, or Georgia, Oregon, Michigan, Texas.
Right.
So you're allowed to, like, I think you're allowed to, at the same time, this is how I feel. You're allowed to be happy with what Dion's accomplishing with Colorado, but also at the same time, you could be annoyed by it at the same time. He's on TV all the time. I think a lot of head coaches in college football are like, this guy is getting all the exposure. Like, okay, Colorado, there's a great story and everything, but they're not in the same class as us. I think I don't know. It's a weird thing where a team is getting hyped up because of their coach, and that's good, and they're getting good exposure. But at the same time, I think they're overexposed for the wrong reasons.
Well, this is a classic case that kind of speaks to how everything is viewed in the world. It's either you're on one side, you're on the other. You're not allowed to think one way because that means you're on the other. If you don't, you're not allowed to think, you know what, Dion's getting too much coverage. I'm a little annoyed at that. I want to see them lose, while also admitting what I think is Dion's doing is great for college football. No one lets you have that space to think both thoughts.
Exactly.
If you think one and you express that one, then you're on the one side. Like, it's just how the world works nowadays. I was reading something interesting. It's like, I think it's great what Dion's doing. I think it's great what he's doing for the school, because he's being compared to John Thompson and what he's doing for Georgetown, or what he did for Georgetown. Yeah. Immediately took a team that was like a 3-win team, I think, in Georgetown, predominantly white, by the way, and then ended up turning them into a 500 team the next year. And then the year after that, they started winning the Big East, and then, winning the championship, I think in 86, obviously Allen Iverson at Georgetown and all that sort of thing. So he is changing it in that regard. But also, this is the type of thing that I think a lot of college football fans have been waiting for. I think the reason for the coverage is because it's been so much of Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban, who's not afraid to just I don't even know what word to use right now. Just straight yell in the face of his players on the sideline and embarrass them on national TV when they make a mistake, even though Alabama's winning. Like, I think college football has been trying to move on from that, especially a sport that is predominantly black, and it's a majority population black, of the players at least.
But not in the coaches,
And the coaches are all these white dudes making all the profit off it. Luckily, the NILs come around, and that's changed things the past couple of years. But Dion, I think, is what college football's kind of been waiting for. And instantly, as soon as they beat TCU, it's like, oh, okay, we really got it. It was all after the win on TCU. If they didn't
Yeah,
beat TCU, they might not be getting the coverage they're getting now because TCU
probably not.
and then followed by Nebraska. Those 2 wins. It was just big for college football the first couple of weeks, but now they've come back down to earth a little bit. And then it's just like with anything with this world. It's just at first it's like you're high off of this and everyone's buzzing. And then there's some naysayers though, and then it's like, oh, if you're not on their side, it's just
Yeah, no, I think that as Ernie just said in the chat, I can't lie. I've watched a lot more college football than I usually do, and that's
yeah.
that's a direct effect of Dion. And I think some shows are bringing up Colorado now when they didn't really bring up college football. I think it's giving people a new. I think it's bringing in a new audience, and it's refreshing to have that. But also at the same, like, I think what I'm getting at is, I think Dan Lanning was kind of painted as a villain last week, where I'm just like, I don't think he's mad at Dion. I think he's just mad that, wow, I coach Oregon and this whole week I've had to answer about Colorado. And that's a little annoying to me. I think it was the same thing with Jay Norvell, where his comment was stupid, but at the same time I think it was, can't you guys ask me about me and my players and not have to answer about Dion and the sunglasses and everything? Now, I think it's okay to root against Colorado, but you got to do it for the right reasons. You can't have cryptic tweets saying you're saving us from all of this stuff. What are you really saying? Because we all know that there's a new audience coming in with Colorado, and you're getting after something there. But if you're going to root against Colorado, let it be for the right reasons. Don't let it be a whole, honestly, a racial issue, which is
Well,
what I
that's what it
think.
turns into.
Yeah,
But any new college football fans are probably getting a nice little smack in the face like, hey, this is what it's really like. Teams just normally get blown out every week. It's
yeah.
very rare that you get these close games. Speaking of Kentucky right now, beating Florida 33-14. Damn.
I saw that.
Damn, it's crazy. I got the multi-view. It's changed my game viewing experience.
Okay, let me get to that real quick before we do the picks.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the thing I sent you.
Yeah.
One of the executives of YouTube TV said they're not going to change or just give total control to the audience when it comes to having a multi-view thing. Don't say that. Give us hope at least. We like your product. Everyone's using it. Hell, even Jim Harbaugh, did you see him the other day?
No.
Oh my God, it was great. He went on a whole rant. They asked him, what have you done in the few weeks that you've been suspended? And he's like, oh, well, my wife bought this this YouTube TV. You heard about it? It's half the price of Direct TV. Did a whole ad for YouTube TV when talking about what he's done the last few weeks. He says, yeah, he used the phrase verbatim, I'm in hog heaven when it comes to watching YouTube TV. This thing's amazing. I love it. But you got to give people the option to pick their own games. Now, I'm not going to act like I understand technology and what's feasible and not feasible, but at least give us the hope or something that could be an option in the future. Because okay, it's fine now. Like, yes, what's the woman's name that gave the audio? Mary Ellen Coe.
Mary Ellen Coe talked
Yeah.
to Deadline.
Yeah. She basically said that, we're not going to give people an infinite combination option.
We'll read it specifically since we have it up here. In a sense, you don't need to provide infinite combinations. We actually will have insight into what are the games that are the most watched, and then we can preload the combinations. I think as you see the season goes on, the demand for customization will become less because people will see the combinations they want will be up.
That's wrong. The demand will increase.
That is completely wrong because you don't know the way football games are going to go. They had the games pegged just fine. Last week, they had the good games on in the morning slate. They had all good games in the 4, and then the crappy games in the other one. But when it gets to the fourth quarter and games are starting to get close here, it's heading towards the witching hour. I wouldn't mind having my own version of what to choose because I don't need to see a blowout between. I don't know. Who was it? I think the Bills and Commanders were on one screen and the others were there. I don't need to see that. There were a couple other, I can't remember the combination that was on there. All I remember was Chargers Vikings and Jesse getting pissed because Red Zone had it on the laptop. Then Chargers Vikings showed up, and then Chargers Vikings was on the big screen. Then Chargers Vikings was on 2 screens in one thing. 3? It wasn't on 3. It was on 2. Spoiler alert, I'm not in some secret room in like a lair in my apartment. I'm just right in the dining room, and Jesse's just in the living room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a whole that's shocking.
Yeah.
I would so what's your setup, Steven? You got the laptop, and then you got the TV, and you're watching Red Zone on one, and you got the quad box on the other.
Yeah.
Okay, that's I got 2 TVs, and that's what I'm doing. Where I got Red Zone on one and the quad box on the other TV. It was the perfect example last week where the Bears Chiefs game was so boring that it was 34-0 at halftime that Fox switched to Cowboys and Cardinals. And when you have the quad box, it's stuck on that Fox game. So I was texting you. I'm like, I can't change the game because the combination is stuck on Fox. Then after a while, they realized, okay, they switched over the game, so they changed it. But you do need that option where you can change one of the games in the combination of the quad box eventually. I don't know if it's feasible. I don't know what the technology says you can or can't do, but they got to find a way to do that.
DirecTV let you do it, so why can't you do it for YouTube TV? If you want to be better than your predecessor, then come on.
I agree.
What are we doing here? Infinite combination. You don't need infinite combinations.
No, just give me 4. Just give me 4 options.
We'll choose it for you. Get out of here. I'm not having that. Come on.
And also tomorrow, I've already asked you for your ESPN Plus login. Do we got to have these these one-off London games between the Falcons and Jags on ESPN Plus? Can you just put that on NFL Network so I could just be half asleep, put it on, and just have it on the background when I'm still sleeping? I gotta log into ESPN Plus and do a whole song and dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, I mean that I wonder what the view's like with their old London games. It's probably way down. They're probably just like, whatever, we'll put it on ESPN Plus and we'll just go from there.
Probably, but then you see later in the year, the Bills are playing the Chargers on Christmas Eve on Peacock. How many people are going to be on Christmas vacation? Be like, shit, texting people like, hey, do you have a Peacock account? Which, by the way, Steven, do you have a Peacock account?
I do. I'll give it to you.
All right, good. We'll get that out of the way now.
Yeah. I knew you were. I knew instantly. I was like, I know where this is going. Yep.
I need the cock, Steven. I need it.
Jeez,
all right.
Man, come on. Good Lord.
You knew that was going to happen. Come on.
I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought you'd ask me for my Peacock account.
All right. Should we pick some games?
Yeah, just never say those words again, you weirdo.
I need the cock.
Ah, right. What?
What are you doing right now? You're just playing our theme song in the middle of the picks?
Playing it in the podcast. Yep.
Interesting. All right, pause that real quick.
Oh,
pause it real quick. I gotta do the nice transition so we get Elena's voice in the podcast version.
Oh,
it's time for wins or wangs. Oh yeah! All right, now play it.
Oh, damn it! All right.
It's a good song, by the way, made by my buddy Jamie. All right, let's start with that London game that no one's gonna watch on ESPN Plus. You got the Atlanta Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags dropping 2 in a row at home. But will they be good in their other home, in old foggy London town? The Jags are favored by 3, and the over-under is 43.
I was going back and forth, man. I don't know. These two teams, very similar. Jags have underperformed. I think the Falcons, is this who they are, or is their offensive line better than we think? Jacksonville has more experience in London, understanding how to work with the time off and everything, the jet lag. But the Falcons getting Cordell Patterson back. I've stumbled through this, but just lay the points with the Jags and give me the over.
Ooh, yeah, definitely take that over. These teams are scoring a lot of points.
Looking at the history of it too, a lot of the over tends to get hit whenever they're in London. Most of the time.
Yeah. What time of the day will this be? This be an afternoon game in London?
6:30, so 2:30, 2:30
Okay.
start. Or is it 7? Because it could change given by the day. Normally it's an 8-hour time change, so it could be 2:30.
I think a lot of people are missing the biggest thing about this matchup: Falcons and Jags. It's a revenge game for Calvin Ridley. So I'm taking the Jags to win. I'm laying the points, and I'm taking that over. I think a lot of points will be scored, even though the Falcons only scored 6 against that Lions defense.
It's also a revenge game for Calais Campbell, too.
True. All right, we got the Rams at the Colts, and this currently is a straight-up pick'em.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Rams coming off that Monday night loss to the Bengals, and the Colts coming off that overtime win in Baltimore. And the over-under is 46.
Anthony Richardson playing?
It sounds like he is.
Yeah, give me the under, and I'll take the Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams as well. Just think that they have the more experienced team, even though I'm impressed with Shane Steichen as a coach. But I'll take that over. I think both teams are going to score a little bit of points to make it a dandy. All right. Then we got the Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. And Derek Carr sprained his AC joint last week against the Packers. But it sounds like he's questionable for the game, and it sounds like it's leaning the direction that he may actually play. Alvin Kamara is back, serving his 3-game suspension for punching some guy in Vegas during the Pro Bowl a couple years ago. But he's back. And the Saints are favored by 3, over-under 40.
Yeah, because Kamara's coming back. I'll take the Saints here, so I'll lay the points. But also, give me the under. I don't think this Buccaneers offense is going to do much against the Saints defense. And, I think they're going to need to run the ball because this Buccaneers defense causes turnovers under Todd Bowles for, all the crap we've been giving them. And they seem to be gelling this year. So I'll take the under, but give me the Saints. I think the Saints are going to win this one.
I'm gonna take the Saints if Derek plays or if Jameis plays. Jameis, obviously Buccaneer first overall pick, so try to get revenge against them. And I like Kamara coming back, but I think some points are going to be scored in this game, Steven. I'm going to take the over, over the 40 points. Then we got the Commies at the Philadelphia Eagles. Commies got shit stomped by the old Bills last week. Sam Howell looking a little rusty. And the Eagles, while they're 3-0, they coming off that win against the Buccaneers. They're looking a little rusty the whole season so far. But they're favored by 9, and the over-under is 43.
Give me the over, give me the Commanders to cover, and I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that it's weird. The defending NFC champs have not really been tested yet. They've been close in all their games. And I don't know if it's just the rain last week or Jalen Hurts just not finding his rhythm yet. They definitely force-fed the ball to A.J. Brown because he was mad a week ago. But I don't really know about their offense yet. So I am going to take the Eagles to win, but that 9 is a little too much for me. So yeah, Steven, I'm going to take the Commies to cover, a good old commie cover. But I'm going to go under on the 43 points. I think Washington's offense, even though they put up 35 points against the Broncos, I think that's a little misleading because the Broncos' defense sucks.
Yeah. I also think the Eagles can, if they don't open up the passing game in this one, then it's like, all right, go on. They had a couple of matchups last year, and the Commanders won the second one. I think the first one was. So I think they can give them a run for their money, but ultimately I think the Eagles are going to win.
All right, then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Houston Texans, where they're going to honor J.J. Watt. Fitting with T.J. Watt being there. The Steelers are obviously coming off that win against the Raiders. Good Lord. And the Texans are coming off an impressive win against the Jags in Jacksonville. Steelers are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 42.5.
I think it's a pretty high over-under. I'd expect this one to be in the 30s, given the way these teams play. But considering the Texans scored as many points as they did against the Jags last week, I think that number's inflated. So give me the under. Steelers 2-1 against the spread this year, so I'll lay the points with them. Steelers under, book it.
I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, Steelers are just a better team. Simple.
Yeah.
Then we got, these games. We got a couple of matchups between teams that are winless. First off, you got the Minnesota Vikings 0-3 at the 0-3 Carolina Panthers. Panthers didn't have Bryce Young last week, but they get him back this week. And the Vikings are road favorites, 4.5 points, and the over-under is 46.5.
Ah, man, I do love a home dog. I don't know if I want to. I do love a home dog. I like that. I had a really tough time picking this game because I don't know what to think of the Vikings, but I just wrote Minnesota finally breaks through. Give me the over. Like the points with Minnesota. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I think the more experienced team wins. And Minnesota hasn't played bad football on offense. Cousins leads the league in passing yards and touchdowns, and Justin Jefferson leads the league in receiving yards. Just they haven't put enough points in the end. So
plus their run game stinks.
Yeah, their run. Well, it may improve with Cam Akers.
Oh, is Cam Akers? Is he starting for them?
He most likely will play tomorrow. Was inactive last week.
Dude, if I see another Alexander Madison fumble in the end zone, I'm gonna lose my mind.
He's that Alexander Madison gamble over Dalvin Cook. Oof.
Told you, man. I'm like, I don't think Madison could just replace Cook just like that. They needed something else. I thought they made a mistake in letting Cook go. Clearly, Cook went to the wrong team, even though he probably went to the right team, and just circumstances changed that. But it's a mess.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings to win. I'm gonna lay the points, but I'm gonna go under on the 46.5. Then the other winless teams. Boy, this might be the two worst teams of football, and it's gonna be fun. Broncos at the Bears. And the Broncos, even though they lost by 50 last week, are 3-point favorites. And the over-under is 46.5.
Take the over. I think it's going to be like the Bears and Commanders. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Somehow I'm laying the points with the Broncos because I think the Bears stink. But I think the Bears are going to score some points.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that team gave up 70 points and somehow the Broncos are the favorite just because of the ineptitude of the Bears? Good Lord.
Dude, did you see that thing with Chase Claypool too?
Yeah, so I saw the clip, but I didn't actually listen to it. I just saw the
headline
of it. So he basically was asked by Courtney Cronin. Is it Courtney Cronin?
I think so.
She asked him, do you think you're being used properly with the Bears? And he goes straight up, nope.
He didn't say nope. He beat it around the bush a little bit. Took him 7 seconds, and then he just looks around. He's like, no.
And they also have DJ Moore in the NFL Films thing talking to Devin White, saying, Devin White goes, man, they ain't using you right. And he goes, damn right they're not.
Yeah.
It's like, bad. Jesus, what's going on with Chicago? Yeah. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking Denver. I'm laying the points, and I'm going over. Both these teams may score points just because their defenses are so horrendous. And after losing 70-20, you got to believe that Sean Payton's going to light a fire under everybody's ass.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Did I miss a game here? Hold on. Is Baltimore playing Cleveland?
Yeah.
I totally forgot to write that one down. All right, I'll get that one in a minute here. Cincinnati at Tennessee. Joe Burrow looked fine, but not better, I would say, against the Rams. He did enough to win the game. But still, I'm very concerned with that calf string. And the Titans don't put up a lot of points this year. They lost 27-3 against the Browns last week. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites as they've won 3 in a row against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. And the over-under is 41.
What's the point spread again? What was the spread you just had? Sorry.
2.5 for the Bengals.
2.5 for the Bengals. Yeah. I think the Bengals win this one. I'm going to lay the points, but also give me the under because I think the defense for the Bengals won them the game last week. I think it's going to be very similar to that game that they previously had. Interesting note though, the Titans are 10-3 in October under Mike Vrabel. Pretty interesting.
But what are they in October and November?
I don't know about November. I don't know about the November and December, but October they play really well. Yeah, just October. They're 10-3 under Vrabel.
Interesting. I'm going to do the same, Steven. I think that the Bengals get enough points to win the game, but it'll be a low-scoring game. So I'm going under.
Gritty
win. Do you have the Browns and Ravens lineup in front of you right now? I forgot to write that game down.
I do not have the point spread. Let me get it. Well, do you go with the updated ones?
I go with whatever CBS Sports tells me in the morning.
Okay, good. I'm on CBS Sports right now. The over-under is
Perfect.
39, and the Bengals are favored by 2, or excuse me, the Browns are favored by 2. Again, over-under 39, Browns favored by 2.
239. All right. Well, I'll go first here.
Mhm.
Did you see the update with David Njoku?
Yeah.
Talk
Crazy.
about I mean, I know Kirk Cousins likes to have a bonfire after every game, but dear Lord, I hope. Well, his agent came out and said he's fine. So,
Good.
jokes aside, it sounds like David Njoku may not play in the game, but he's going to be okay.
It's a good bonfire there, Coop.
Yep. But I think Deshaun Watson's questionable too, but he'll probably
Yeah, he hasn't really practiced this week.
And then, do we know what's going on with Odell? He just has like a leg injury, and we don't know if he's coming back.
He's just out.
Yeah. So
what happens with those lower extremities, Odell?
Despite all that,
ain't healthy.
despite all that, I like the way the Browns have been playing at home, especially with their defense. And I think the Ravens are kind of struggling on offense right now, trying to find a groove with their passing game. So I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to lay the points. And I'm going to go under on that 39. That's risky, but I'm going to go under on that.
I'm actually going to go against you here. I think the Ravens are going to upset them, even though they're 2-point favorites. Give me the Baltimore in the upset. I think this one's also going to be gritty. But this defense under Jim Schwartz for the Browns, it's humming right now. It really is. But I think ultimately, I think Watson's injury kind of changed my mind about the whole thing, and without David Njoku too. So I think the Ravens pull off the upset. Give me Baltimore in the under.
In the under, okay. By the way, this game got a little closer here. 14-point game. USC 48, Colorado 34, with about 10 minutes to play. Interesting. All right. Then we got probably the best game of the weekend. The Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. It's kind of marqueed as the 2 highest scoring offenses of football, obviously with the Dolphins. But it's really, to me, the Dolphins' offense against the Buffalo Bills defense. And it may be that the Bills have played not great offenses to start off the first 3 weeks with the Commanders, Raiders, and Jets. But they've only allowed, I think, 2 offensive touchdowns the whole season. So, with that in mind, the Bills are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is a whopping 53.5.
Oh, yeah. Give me the over. Just give me the over. I'm too scared to take the under in this game. Life's too short to take the under, so give me the over. And I know it's revenge for Miami and Buffalo for what happened last year in the playoffs, and I know they're coming off the 70-20 win, but I actually think the Bills I think the Bills pull away with a win here. Give me the Bills.
And you laying the points?
And I'm going to lay the points with the Bills.
Yeah, I think whenever Miami goes to Buffalo, and I think it's too early for this game to be in Buffalo. I think for the Bills to have a true advantage, they got to play this game in December when it's cold.
Right.
Nevertheless, I think the Bills get the job done with the Bills Mafia and the dildos on the field. So I'm taking the Bills to win. I'm laying the points, but I'm going to go crazy here. I think the Bills' offense is a little rusty. I think Tua's going to be off his game a little bit. So I know you said life's too short, but maybe your life, Steven. I'm taking the under.
Oh, all right.
As I flip the page.
Hang on real quick. Are they getting back? Didn't they miss out on Micah Hyde last year or last week or something?
Jordan Poyer is out. So, big story here. DeMar Hamlin's going to make a season debut.
Oh.
Now, I know what happened with DeMar Hamlin a year ago. Not the greatest safety, to be honest. I think that's where their defense struggled a year ago. So that could be a big deal. But I think he can handle it for one game.
Well, isn't Jordan Poyer like an all-pro? Kind of hard to replace him. So
that's yes, believe they probably have the best safety combination of football. So DeMar Hamlin's a fine safety. It's just a bigger drop-off when you go from Jordan Poyer to him. But I'm sure the Bills fans will be fired up to see him return to game action. Arizona going to San Francisco. And this is the biggest spread of the weekend. The Niners haven't played since Thursday, and the Cardinals are coming off that big upset win over the Cowboys. But the Niners are favored by 14, and the over-under is 43.5.
I think the Niners dominate. Lay the points. Give me the under.
I agree, except I'm going to take the over. I think that with a... Well, shit. Do we know if Debo's playing? He's questionable?
Debo is questionable. Juwan Jennings out.
Officially out?
Yeah. No, but, well, not officially. I think he's doubtful.
Okay, doubtful. And Brandon Ayuk's going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that despite all of that, I think Debo's still going to play. And I think that
give him the game off. Like I don't care what they did against the Cowboys. Like Cardinals are not that good of a team. Just give him the day off. This is where the Cardinals are going to come back.
But you don't want to be underestimating this opponent, Steven. That's what the Cowboys did a week ago.
Yeah, well, the Niners are a much better team. So just
Yeah, I think actually the Cowboys losing the game kind of had them focus a little bit, and it's easy to kind of be rusty on 10 days rest. But I like the Niners to beat down the Cardinals. I'm taking the Niners to win. I'm laying the points, and I'm going over on that 43.5. Then we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to the Los Angeles Chargers. And we already think about Jimmy Garoppolo. Is he still in concussion protocol?
Yeah.
Jesus. So are we looking at Brian Hoyer here or Aiden O'Connell?
I think it's Brian Hoyer. I want Aiden O'Connell to be the guy, but it's looking like Brian Hoyer.
Come on, what are you doing, Josh? I wouldn't do that. I think we can. Brian Hoyer's fine, but he's fine as a backup. Let's see what you got in Aiden O'Connell. Chargers may be without Austin Eckler again. They're definitely without Mike Williams. He's done for the season, tore his ACL, but they did draft Quentin Johnston for not the situation, but to fill in to be kind of a Mike Williams type. But it's going to be a home game for the Raiders because they always dominate when they go to SoFi as far as fans. And also, I didn't bring this up last podcast. Sickening that the Steelers fans took over Allegiant Stadium. Come on. The Steelers-Raiders rivalry, that's disgusting.
I'm numb to that. I'm numb to
I understand.
Taking over in Vegas. Everyone's taking over Vegas. I'm numb to that. No shock.
Nevertheless, the Chargers are 5-point favorites, and the over-under is 48.5.
Here's how it's going to go, okay? The Chargers are going to take a huge lead in the first half. Brian Hoyer is going to be done at halftime. Aiden O'Connell coming into the second half, leading sort of a comeback, but not really. Chargers win, cover, over. Raiders cover.
Raiders cover, okay. I don't think
that's a weird, stupid niche prediction. Like, that's definitely not going to happen. The Chargers are probably going to blow them out of the water, but I may be making my pick based on what I hope happens, but here we go.
I think this is the game where we finally the Chargers are actually playing up to expectations. I think Justin Herbert has a huge game, and I think Khalil Mack gets a sack, and Joey Bosa gets a sack, and this is like the first time where you're like, holy shit, they're actually doing what they're supposed to do, but it's only good for 1 week. So Chargers blow out the Raiders, lay the points, take the under.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the New England Patriots at the Dallas Cowboys. Zeke coming back to Dallas. They're coming off the loss to the Cardinals, and the Patriots are coming off their first win over the Jets. 6.5-point favorites for the Cowboys, over under 43.5.
AJ Cruz says he'd buy what I was selling for $1. Yeah, well, that'd probably get you like $1,000 considering the odds are very, very much, very low. Anyway, what were we looking at? Yeah. So the Patriots' offensive line has been one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league. That's at least according to PFF. They have one of the top 5 worst pass blocking teams. I think Dallas is going to be motivated here, but I also think New England's defense is pretty good. So I'll lay the points with Dallas, but give me the under.
I think the Patriots are going to cover this 6.5 spread.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win. I'm going to take the Patriots to cover, but I'm going to take that under 2. It's a battle of good defenses.
It's a big spread. Yeah.
A big old spread.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey knows about that, right, guys? Chiefs at the Jets. Oh, boy. Big reminder that Aaron Rodgers is out for the season as Zach Wilson gears up. And they're going to wear those sweet unis, too. Remember the unis they wore on week 1?
Yeah. The whites
suck. And then Taylor Swift will be in the box, just rooting on her man Trav. The Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites, and the over/under is 41.5.
Yeah, lay the points and give me the under. Give me the over. Give me the over. Give me the over. I'll lay the points.
Wow. I'm going to take that under. Yeah. Give me the Chiefs to win, lay the points, and that under. Until I see otherwise with Zach Wilson, it's just... He can barely complete passes. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
God, I feel so bad for Jets fans or Robert Saleh and everybody.
Trevor Siemian facing his old AFC West foe. Going to happen.
You may see Trevor Siemian get in the game, and you may see Aaron Rodgers try to come back and just try to blast as much Dolphins fucking that he could get back on the field. How's that help? How does listening to Dolphins have sex help you with your recovery?
I don't think it's real, because that sounds like a nightmare.
He said it's true. apparently Dolphins are weird.
They get after it. Huh?
Oh yeah, the blowhole. Anyway, Seattle at the New York Giants, Monday Night Football. Seattle, 1.5 point favorites, and the over/under is 47. Giants have been off since last Thursday.
Give me the under in this, and I'll take the Seahawks in an upset.
No, the Seahawks are favored.
Oh, the Seahawks are favored? I got them. Oh, yeah, they are. Sorry. Jesus. I don't know what I'm looking at. The thing that says plus 1.5 next to the Giants means the other team is favored. I'll lay the points with the Seahawks.
I'm going to take the under 2, but when you have 10 days to prepare, you should win that game. So I'm taking, and especially the Seahawks coming to New York. I'm going to take the Jets. Yeah. I'm taking the Giants to win, but I'm going to have that under happen. There you go. Stop the song. Perfect stop to end it.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Oh, damn it. You ruined it. Well, Steven, that's all I got. Anything else on your so-called mind?
Shout out to Jim Somsula for winning the Elf Championship.
The Elf Championship?
You didn't hear about this, huh?
Well, I know his Rain Fire won, but what's the Elf Championship?
It's Rhine Fire, part of the European League of Football. The Elf.
The Elf?
Yeah, that's where he won the championship. It's called the European League of Football.
Oh, do people actually call it the Elf?
No, I do.
Okay.
It's the ELF.
Okay, you sound like Jamar Chase.
Come on, bro.
Lost some Dan Elves.
Yeah, right? Seriously. He won the Elf Championship.
Jimmy Tomsula.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, good for him. Good for him. I always thought he got a raw deal. He's the Gabe Kapler of football coaches.
There's a
same
former,
body and everything.
He is not the Gabe Kapler of football coaches. Gabe Kapler, if there was any comparison, if it was any comparison, it would be if like Kai Correa was the Giants coach next year and then just got fired because he was just thrusted into some role which he didn't actually need to be in. Because that's how it worked with Tom Sula, right? He was like the defensive line coach, and then he was just elevated, and
he was loved by the players, but it was clear from the opening press conference that he was not the man for the job.
Elf. Also, shout out to the Warriors for potentially getting a WNBA team in 2025. That'd be pretty cool if it happens.
Can I bring that up real quick?
No.
Well, I'm going to anyway. That's very cool. When Marcus Thompson had that story, I was like, sweet, I'll be at the games. Until I saw, so it's the Warriors are bringing a team to Oakland, a WNBA team that's going to play its game at Chase Center. What? And I don't want to shit on this because it's very nice to have a WNBA team and Oakland have a team at the same time, but also, why can't they play at Oracle Arena? And I understand the business of it. Joe Lacob wants to have more revenue. But come on. That's not going to sell out. If you had the games at Oracle Arena in Oakland, people would go. They would sell out every night.
I don't know about that.
Okay, maybe that's an overstatement, but you would have more people showing up to the games in Oakland than you would in San Francisco.
Maybe. I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to be there. Like, women's sports is going to be really popular in the next couple of years, I think, at the Bay. You got the Bay FC starting up next year with the NWSL. Shout out to Albertine Montoya, who killed my father. Prepare to die. He's the manager for the new team, which is awesome. And then also, how about this? I mean, the Chase Center getting the All-Star weekend potentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool that they haven't had it since 2000 when Vince Carter put his arm in the rim. But I'm sorry. Like I just think it's kind of lame that you're going to have a Oakland team playing Chase Center. I think it's lame.
Well, why do that when you have a state-of-the-art stadium just a little bit down the road? I know it's more accessible to Ernie.
Then you shouldn't call them Oakland. Why are you calling them Oakland?
Are they calling them Oakland?
Yes, they're going to be the Oakland Warriorettes. I have no idea what their name is going to be.
I think the W's is what they're going with.
The Dubs?
Well, yeah,
W's for just what, for women?
Dubs. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, all right. But Oakland defeats the whole purpose.
Was that a joke that I saw on Twitter and I took that and actually was that something that I just did?
Knowing you and your gullibility, probably.
My gullibility. Hate you.
All right. On that note, everybody, we'll see you on Tuesday, Steven? Unless you got another Giants game to get to.
No Giants game to get to because the
Just
season will be over.
Last game for Brendan Crawford tomorrow?
Oh yeah. This is a goodbye. I think he's done playing because why else would you want to go anywhere?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with their managerial search. You want Bob Melvin, obviously. That's the number one guy.
It's not necessarily the number one guy. I don't really have a number one guy. I don't think there's whoever this manager is. I mean, you're probably going to turn him into another scapegoat. I need to see the offseason first before I see them. I'm more worried about the players that they're going to have next year and how they're going to work that out besides the manager. The manager is kind of this last thought on my mind. But Bomel, Stephen Vogt, obviously Susan Slusser brought him up. I'd be interested in that. I think he'd be a good coach. There's also a bigger loss the Giants had, and I'll just mention it really quick. But Brian Bannister, this guy who's the director of pitching in the minor leagues. I think he's huge for the development of those guys in the farm system. He's going elsewhere. I think he's going to Seattle for a front office job. I think that's just as big of a loss as Gabe Kapler, but nobody wants to pay attention to that because Gabe Kapler has a hand tattoo.
Fair enough.
Nah, Brian Bannister, though, I think it's not a bigger loss. It's your damn manager. But Brian Bannister, I think, is going to be one that no one really heard about. No one really knows about. And it's going to be a big loss.
All right. Well, we all know how the Giants offseason will go. They'll be mentioned in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes and then lose out at the very end.
Facts.
All right. On that note, everybody, we'll see you on Tuesday. We'll react to the Week 4 games. And Steven, say what you always say.
This is our opinion, man.